Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel and to today's video. Today I'm going to be playing with a palette that is brand new to my collection. It was given to me. Somebody sent me part of her declutter and this palette was brand spanking new in the bottom of the box and I'm completely delighted about it. So if you want to see what I did to get this look, stick around. But I'm also going to be talking today about these little things that I see pretty much on social media, in reels or just videos in general, things that I see which make me go, why? And I'd let you know what your thoughts are, of course. I have a fun story to tell. The other day, one of my subscribers here on YouTube contacted me over on Instagram, and she said, hey, I have some palettes I thought you might like. So she showed me some pictures, and we chatted about, yes, I might use this one. No, I don't think I'd use that one, but thank you. And she ended up saying that she was going to send me a couple of palettes. And then she said that there was a surprise palette in the box that was pretty shimmer heavy, and she thought that I would just enjoy it. So I was excited because, it's fun to get friend mail, and it's fun to get eyeshadow palettes, and I didn't know what the surprise was, obviously. So the box arrived, and as I'm going through, I'm pulling out the palettes that we had discussed, and I get to the bottom and I see a smaller box from Adept Cosmetics, and I figured, oh, well, she probably just reused the palette packaging. If you ever sell secondhand, you know that it's a good idea to save palette packaging that came to you in the mail because it's just the right size for eyeshadow palettes. So people reuse the packaging all the time. I remember once I actually got a palette that arrived in Cold Moon from In the Rain packaging. This was before I owned Cold Moon because I did win that in a recent giveaway, but my heart skipped a beat for just a second and I was like, did they send me the wrong one? But no, it was just the Cold Moon box with a totally different palette inside. So that's what I was expecting. And as I went to open the Adept box, I saw on the side that it said Flying Fiddles, and I actually said out loud, oh man, she's got the Flying Fiddles palette. I wonder how she likes it, because that's one of the palettes from Adept that I would really like to own. And when I got my Sorceress Smoke from Unearthly, I thought I had kind of scratched the itch. But they're both so beautiful, and because I'm really enjoying neutrals now, I can appreciate them for what they are, and I thought Flying Fiddles was lovely. So I open the Adept box, and then I take out the upper layer and I pull back the packaging, and underneath is a brand new, untouched, still in all of its original packaging, Flying Fiddles palette from Adept Cosmetics. And I squealed. I squealed several times in my kitchen as I unwrapped this package, and my daughter's like, what? I think that this is beautiful, and like I said, I appreciate neutrals now more than I ever did before. It's so lovely. It's untouched. Even the little sticky is still on the mirror. Shall we take that off together? It's brand spanking new, not a swatch, not a finger impression, not a brush mark, nothing. Absolutely pristine. And I am so thankful to my subscriber. Thank you so much. She had told me that it was very shimmer heavy and she found that she wasn't really reaching for it, and she knew that I like the lightweight sparkly shimmers, so she figured that I would like it. This is not an inexpensive palette. This is not just an easy throw in as a freebie. This is, for me anyway, in my life and my situation, this is kind of a big deal. So I'm just so thankful. I'm not going to say her by name because people like to be private and anonymous, but thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful gift. I think it's gorgeous, and today I must play with it. I must. I'm starting with kind of a medium blending brush and picking up Tan Toffee Rose. For today's video, I thought it would be a perfect pairing to talk about spicy neutrals, which was a recent request from a subscriber, but my youngest child is actually a little bit sick right now, and I'm not sure what kind of time I'm gonna have for that. I feel like spicy neutrals kind of has to be a swatching video. So if I'm able to squeeze that in today, that would be great. But if not, it'll just have to happen another time. I did pull out a handful of palettes, including this one, that I thought kind of had spicy neutrals and would be fun to talk about. So we'll see if that happens. But if not, it's all right. And if so, it's all right. And either way, we get to play with eyeshadow and have fun. What should I do today? I'm looking at my shirt. This is actually, come to think of it, isn't this just a great match for my shirt? Pretty unintentional. But my shirt has like these rosy colors, deep greens, and actually some surprisingly warm white tones as well as a few cooler white tones. And I see all those colors in here. It's a good match. So you'll have to let me know if you have this palette and if you like it. I think it's gonna become a favorite of mine, particularly within the neutral field, but the last Adept palette that I had, which included mattes, was their La Cienega, the one that was like was it like San Francisco themed? And that one was fine. I kind of liked it, but I didn't like it a lot. I have long since resold it. I found that the mattes were fine, but the shimmers were most of them were kind of blue leaning, and there were no blue mattes. And then a couple of them were super flaky, and a few of them were more like my Adept Plain Jane palette, which is a thinner topper formula. And I just didn't love the palette, but I haven't even swatched this. I have not touched it yet. This is the first time I'm doing anything at all with it. I think that this one has the potential to rise pretty high. Today I wanted to talk, actually, because it's more chatty and doesn't involve the swatching of spicy neutrals. I wanted to talk about some various things I keep seeing, which I find to be annoying. And I'm not a negative person. These are just things that make me go, but why? And I thought maybe we could commiserate, and you could tell me some of the things that you find annoying, which are just like prominent in our culture right now. I do think that I'm gonna deepen with a combination of Daylily and Green Kelly. I believe the inspiration for this palette was ferns. Is that right? Definitely some kind of botanicals. I think Flying Fiddles is a kind of fern, but maybe I'm wrong. But in combining Daylily and Green Kelly, I've gotten a gorgeous purple. Look at that. Well, how lovely. I will say, as far as the mattes alone, there's nothing that's super deep, and there's also nothing that's super light. We definitely have a wider range in the shimmers than the mattes, but I think that these two mattes together certainly do give quite a nice depth. I mean, it's not like having a black in the palette or an extremely deep foresty green, but this is a good amount of depth. And I feel like when there are blacks in the palettes, it's almost a cop-out. I mean, I use them, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about having a black in a palette, especially if you don't have much depth elsewhere in the mattes. But black just feels like such an easy gimme shade. I almost sometimes wish, especially for a smaller color story, that instead of a black, they take a little bit more risk and give us just a deeper colored matte. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Let's talk about things that are annoying. Number one, and this is eyeshadow / makeup related specifically. I think it's so annoying when I'm watching a ranking video and I pop down to the comments, because I tend to comment as I go, like, oh, I have this palette, or oh, I would have ranked that one lower, I'm glad you love it, whatever. You know, I build my comment as I watch the video, and then I submit it when I get to the end. So I think it's so annoying when I get to the comments halfway through a video and I see them spoiling the top choices in their comment. Like, oh my goodness, thank you so much for putting the Blend Bunny Machina palette in your #1 spot. I absolutely agree. Or yes, Bella Beauté Bar Secret Garden was my #2 as well. That's just annoying. Is that not annoying? Do you do that? Are you one of those people who does that? I never do that. I never do that because I find it frustrating. So what I do, if I'm gonna comment on the person's choices, I'll specify the slot, but never the palette. So for example, I might say, ooh, your #3 pick was my #1 for the year. Isn't that a great palette? But I'm not gonna spoil the palette in my comment so that I ruin the experience for anybody who's watching the ranking, because isn't that the purpose of a ranking? It's that, for the viewer, is the fun part. And it's just annoying when it gets messed up. That is gorgeous. These two shades together, at least on my skin tone, Daylily and Green Kelly, very purple, super pretty. Because there's no purple matte in this palette, but it sure looks like that's purple. So pretty. Now what? Now I want to take Dahlia, which here is looking like a pink, green, gold. Is this one up here? Can you see that? I don't know what you're able to pick up on the camera and if my angling is any good. Speaking of ranking videos, can we finally be done with the whole disclaimer at the beginning? If your favorite palette falls low in my ranking, this is Dahlia. Oh, it looks really orange here. Oh, how interesting. If you're, then I apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't focus. This is so pretty. This is not the Adept formula I'm familiar with. Ooh. Like that a lot. Okay, where was I? Can we dismiss with the formality of saying, like apologizing almost, or having a disclaimer that if we don't have the same preferences, it's okay. I have seen pretty much every larger channel that I watch, they all do this. And I can only assume it's because they're getting maybe nasty comments from people who watch the video and say, oh, how can you not like such and such? That's my favorite palette. I get that. And I think that it was because I saw other people do it. Now I'm picking up pom-pom button. Is it pom-pom, like, what I'm talking about the emphasis. Is it pom-pom or is it pompon? Pompon? I don't know what that would be. But anyway, pompon button, dark forest green. I'm gonna put that right here. This is the risk with not having a very deep matte in the palette, that your darkest shimmer might be darker than your darkest mattes. And that is a very real consideration. So I'm wiping the brush on my napkin and I'm just blending it into the mattes and then blending the lighter shimmer over into the darker shimmer. Maybe picking up a little bit more Dahlia and putting it on top. Oh, see, now I've kind of muddied that a little bit. Let's brighten that a bit. Anyway. Okay, now I'm going back, I think a smaller blending brush. Yeah, I'll take a smaller blending brush into Green Kelly, which is the dark blue, and only add that right here. Anyway, sorry. We all have different preferences and tastes and opinions. Like I said, I've seen these larger creators doing this disclaimer, so I kind of feel like I need to do the disclaimer too. But we're all different, and how boring would it be if everybody was the same and we all had the same preferences? Because then we wouldn't have the brands or the launches or the creative expression that we have now. We wouldn't have this YouTube platform where people get to take their preferences and create their own version of things, you know, their own looks or BYOP or combining these two palettes and getting something different. All of that would be less impactful and enjoyable if everybody had the same preferences. So I think it's unreasonable that a viewer would attack a content creator for liking something more or less than they do. That's silly, right? This is so much more purple than I anticipated. I like it. I'm not complaining. I'm just commenting. It's so much more purple than I thought it would be. How interesting. Must be the undertones of these two mattes that I used, because Daylily has an almost an eggplant undertone, and then this Kelly Green, or Green Kelly rather, is very blue, so you're gonna get obviously a more purple tone. And that might play in different ways if I had different undertones in my skin. Now for the lower lash line, I'm going back into Tan Toffee Rose with something that's quite soft and quite soft. Okay, another thing that I find kind of annoying is when somebody wants to show you their eyeshadow look, right? They take a picture and they put it on Instagram, and it seems like the picture is not actually focusing on the eyeshadow. I mean, I feel like if I'm gonna show you my eyeshadow look, I'm gonna show you my face is like front and center. Here's the focal point. This is the thing we're looking at. If the camera also shows quite a bit down here and I'm wearing a very revealing shirt, no one's looking at the eyeshadow. And if your eyes are wide open, dreamily looking off into the distance, nobody can see the eyeshadow. We just see the inner corner and the lower lash line and a little bit of what's happening up here, but we don't see the eyeshadow. And that just, it makes me roll my eyes, because I'm like, this is not a post showing me your eyeshadow look. You know, your caption can say whatever you wanted to say, but I'm not looking at the eyeshadow. And it almost feels kind of futile or unnecessary. If you want to talk about your style or your preferences in clothes or your self-tanner or this amazing new bra that you got, then great, just talk about those. Be open and talk about that. But if you want to show me eyeshadow, then close your eyes so that I can see what is happening on your eyes, so that I can enjoy this look that you spent time creating and time photographing, and this, you know, you wrote the whole caption talking about this palette that you love so much. Show me the palette, show me the eyeshadow. I don't think that's unreasonable. Now, let's deepen a little bit. I'll just take the same brush, why not? Into Green Kelly, and soften out here and deepen a little bit. While we're talking about that, another kind of pet peeve is when I scroll through and I land on a reel of somebody getting dressed. And I look at this and I just wonder, at what point did we start getting dressed on camera for the internet to see? It could be anything. It could be an undergarment company. That at least I kind of get. But I feel like more often than not, it's somebody who just wants to have like a chatty voiceover for their platform. And they might figure the best way to get somebody to stop and listen to their voiceover is by getting dressed in the background. It's just somebody putting on their clothes for the day while they talk. And I don't understand this at all. It just feels so private and intimate. And then put it on the internet for the world to see. I don't understand. I don't understand. Now I need an inner corner highlight. I'm gonna grab Yellow Bronwyn, which looks like a silvery blue-green yellow. Yep, just as pretty as I thought it would be, and why not? Let's just put it up here for a little extra sparkle. Have you guys seen those reels? I find that more often than not, it's a reel. It's, it might be a makeup reel or a person talking about style or just a person sharing a quick anecdote, which sometimes I see as they're putting on their, they're putting on face makeup and they're sharing this little story from their life. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, starting with undergarments and building an outfit from there, but they're not necessarily talking about the undergarments or the outfit. They're not necessarily talking about anything related to what you're seeing. It's just audio over this reel of a person getting dressed. And I don't get it. I don't get it. But this, big fan. I'm gonna do the other side and be right back, and we're gonna have a little chat about this palette and the sparkle and everything else. This is how it all turned out. I'll give you a quick rundown of what I did to finish off. My waterline, I'm wearing, that is not my waterline. In my waterline, I'm wearing brown. This is from LA Girl. It's the Glide Gel Liner. This is really smooth and creamy. I like this, I think, even better than my ColourPop Creme Gel Liners. I do have mascara on. For my lips, I'm wearing the 1064 Hazelnut Liner from Italia Deluxe, and I've topped it with the Smooth Whip from NYX, the matte lip cream in the shade Teddy Fluff. And then I have a little bit of my ColourPop tinted moisturizer because I'm trying to finish it. That obviously went on before everything else. And then I have my frosting highlighter palette from Cosmic Beauty. This is the shade I used today, along with some blush from an Unearthly. This is the one that I used, Crystal. And that, my friends, that is everything. So, thoughts about the look? Super pretty. There's something about today's look that's making me feel kind of vampy. I'm not sure, but I like it. I think it's pretty. I really love the eyeshadow look. I think everything performed so perfectly, so beautifully. The mattes were not an issue at all. I had no problems with blending or building, no problems with pigmentation. Everything behaved either as well as expected or even better, because, for example, these two together turned into quite a purple tone, and my eye look has a whole purple vibe that I never would have expected to get from this palette, which is fun. And I also know that I'll be able to get non-purple vibes from the palette. So I think that those two together kind of bring an element that was quite unexpected. The shimmers are gorgeous. I'm gonna make sure that I show you guys a low light video, but they're so pretty. They're so light and sparkly. We know these are my criteria for shimmers that I love, and these seem to be just great. I really want to take a black matte or like a black base and put this shade all over, because now, especially because I took this shade and then I kind of combined it with this one, which is multi-chromatic, again, the whole thing is looking more purple. Like when I did a close-up of my eye, I couldn't even see that I had used a green shimmer, and I think that's really interesting and fun. So now I want to take this green shimmer and put it on top of something that really will pull out the greenness of it. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I am absolutely delighted that I now own this palette, because I never thought that I would. I had the search for the Adept Flying Fiddles saved in my Mercari for ages, and the prices are just never something that I can do. I mean, they're selling for $50 to $70 on average. Even like the best prices I see for this palette are $40, and I don't think I can do that. Like recently I did sell some palettes in Mercari, so I have a bit of a balance now, but still, if I have to sell 3 palettes to get my funds to the point where I can afford a single $40 purchase, once we've factored in fees and taxes, I really, really reconsider. So I'm just so excited to own the Flying Fiddles palette because I think it's just beautiful. I can't wait to play with it more, and I'm so grateful to my subscriber for her absolute generosity and kindness. Thank you so much. I'm so stoked. This is fun and it's beautiful and it's just a good time. So appreciate you all for being here. Thank you for clicking on my video and giving me part of your day. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video and will consider liking and subscribing before you go. You can see my numbers are slowly climbing up to 1,000, so maybe I'll get there in the next 6 months. I do have several videos uploaded on my channel per week, and I'm gonna let you guys go and take care of my baby, who I think is starting to wake up. Probably won't get a second video in today, but I'll see you in my next video whenever that happens. Bye!